Thunder. I'm Shooter here with Thomas Schooley. Another Wednesday night and a pretty fun week of Bulls hockey that we get to talk about again this week. Thomas, how are you?
Doing good. Doing good.
All right. Well, you know what? We have a guest this week, and it looks like that guest is just signing on now. So I'm going to see if he's ready to join us. Let's bring on the man, the myth, the legend, Leo Haggerty. Leo, welcome to We the Thunder. Let's give you one of these. A lot of lightning strikes around here lately.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. Appreciate
Thanks for jumping on. Now, we met you in the press box. You had the unfortunate circumstances of having to sit next to us in one of our first games in the press box. So thank you, first of all, for showing us the ropes a little bit, and thank you for finally jumping on. And not much of a better time to talk about Lightning hockey than right now, as we're rolling into the playoffs and the team looks pretty good.
I tell you what, they're on fire everywhere. Offense, defense, goalie, they they can't play much better. And in fact, what people don't realize is that since the Four Nations face-off, I don't think teams are getting 30 plus shots on net, except one or two times. In fact, let's go back to the Pittsburgh game. The Penguins only got 14 shots on that 50. One went in. 15 shots in the game. That's phenomenal. Last night, just watching it with the Islanders had 24 shots in the third period, down 3-1. They went about 6, 7 minutes. They couldn't even get it into the light defensive zone. It was 6, 7 minutes, and they're down 3-1. That's how well the light playing, not just on offense, but they're playing well all three phases of the game.
Yeah, it's been amazing to see these last couple months. March was a huge month for the Bolts. And hey, Leo, I got a message that you're not looking, your audio is kind of cutting in and out. Do you mind just dropping off and jumping back on that same link again?
I will do that. I'll get out of here.
We'll
Here we
bring
go.
you right back. You were hearing that, right, Thomas? Oh,
Yeah, well, I sent you a message and I said, is he cutting in and out on to you too?
yeah.
Because
All right. Hopefully he
and
can.
I went on, I put myself on mute and then I went on and started watching us on Facebook to see if that's what they were hearing, and that's what they were hearing too, was him cutting
Technical
in and out.
difficulties. Shocker. I could hear what he was saying there. He was really talking about how the Lightning have kind of bounced back and played some really good defense in
Since
the
Four
last
Nations.
since the Four Nations. And yeah, this team's record probably is pretty close to almost perfect since the Four Nations. In fact, it was this month, or sorry, last month, March, the team finished 9-5-1 and kept that goal differential up because they were plus 16 on the goal differential. So a really, really strong March. And really, the team's been playing well since January. All right, let's see if we can get Leo back on here. There he is. Let's see. Do you sound better now?
How's that? Any better?
Yeah, it sounds a little better for me. Thomas, thumbs up.
So far, so good.
Yeah. Okay. Holler if they need me to move. But you know what, guys? Of those 9 wins in March, 5 of them they scored 6 or more goals. In fact, they now have the leading team in this campaign. They
Oh,
scored 12 consecutive
you're
goals.
praising up again, Leo.
Oh man. Uh, any better?
There you go.
How's how's that? Any better?
Looks good for me.
Okay. Yeah, they scored 12 consecutive goals, 8 against Utah in the first 4 in the next game. And I'm going, where's this coming from? You know, all of a sudden they're scoring goals at a crazy rate. And guys, their record when they are leading after two periods is 1 and 1. They've only lost one in time and lost one in overtime when they're leading after two periods. That's phenomenal.
Yeah, it's been an unbelievable run. I mean, just in really the last week, right? After they took that trip out west, they dropped both the games. Tough game against Utah, tough game against Vegas. Vegas is a very good team, and then come back, beat Pittsburgh 6-1, and then beat Utah, and this is all at home, 8-0, and then beat the Islanders on Saturday 5-3. But if you remember in that game, the Lightning were up 4-0.
4-0 right out of the gate. Yeah.
And I think they had a coming to Jesus moment maybe in that third period when it seemed like they just stopped playing, and like the Islanders played like they were supposed to be playing, like they're playing for their season for a little bit. But the Lightning were able to hold them off, like you said. Once they've gotten that lead, they're not giving it up, and that bodes pretty well for a team going into the playoffs.
Absolutely.
Not only that, we're also talking about 7 players now who have scored over 20 goals this season. I mean, you just had the newest Bolt, Bjorkstan, join the team, and he picked up his 20th and 21st because, I mean, and this was one of the questions I was thinking about that you guys can both weigh in on. That, every year at the trade deadline, whether it's been Yzerman or whether it's been JBB, we always hear in Yzerman we trust, and JBB we trust. Some have worked out. Most of them have worked out. The one that really didn't, if you, by the fans' standpoint, is Tanner Jeannot, who's doing great in LA right now. I think he's having career numbers there in LA. But Coop doesn't seem to get the accolades that, I mean, I know from the league he's never gotten the Jack Adams, and people always complains about that. And you don't see it really with the fans. You always see JBB did great. Yzerman did great, trusting the Yzer plan. But look what Coop has done. As in, yeah, JBB might have been the ones who got Bjorkstan, got Yanni Gord back, but Coop had some say in that. And then on top of it, look what Coop has done with them. And he said he still doesn't think Bjorkstan has really found himself in this system yet.
Not on the power
which
play
means, yeah. I mean, so I still think there's still a lot to see in Bjorkstan coming into the, this end of the season. The Bolts are playing the best hockey at the best time imaginable. And when this goes into the playoffs, everybody's going to say what a brilliant move it was by JBB to pick up Gord and Bjorkstan. But do you think Coop deserves a lot of that credit too?
Not yes, but hell yes. I mean, the hardest thing to do is to coach talent. You can coach guys that aren't talented, but to coach guys that are talented, that's not an easy job. And you know what? Here's the crazy thing. We talk about the loss to Utah, we talk about the loss to Vegas. Go back to the Dallas game. It's 2-2 going to overtime. They're down 2-1.
Mm-hmm.
Kucherov has to make a goal to keep it going. He does. Vasilevsky has to get a stop, and he gets one and gets a second one. Guess who gets the game winner? A rookie, Gage Goncalves, gets and that was a huge 2 points. They went from looking at getting one to getting two. And believe me, look what happened last night to Florida. Montreal scores with 8 seconds left, and instead of them getting 2, they only get 1. So that's huge.
Montreal swept them this season. Montreal swept them this season.
Yeah.
Montreal, who is on the verge of being knocked out of the playoffs, swept the Florida Panthers this season.
Wow. Yeah. That's amazing. But you know, when you look at the Lightning, and this is the craziest thing. I know Kucherov. There's only what 8 games left, correct?
8, yep.
If Kucherov gets 3 assists a game, he breaks 100 again. And you know what?
No, 2. Isn't it 2? Isn't he 16 away?
Yeah, yeah. I think he's at 79 or somewhere up there. But the way they're playing, he's getting 2 and 3 a night. And I wouldn't be surprised to see that keep going. And you know what, guys? When this season started, the biggest question mark was how are the Lightning going to replace 40 plus goals by Steven Stamkos? Well, guess what? Jake Gensel answered that question in a hurry. And I'll tell you what, I don't know if you saw the post game last night with him, but he's happier than a pig in poo poo being in Tampa because he's sitting there and he's playing with Braden Point and playing with Nikita Kucherov. And you know what? He learned in a hurry. Keep that stick on the ice because that puck's coming.
Yeah, and they asked him about playing with Kucherov, who finally, by the way, on ESPN during that entire broadcast, a lot of it thanks to PK Subban, who absolutely is in love with Nikita Kucherov. So thank you, PK, for giving him credit where credit's due. But you know, they did interview Gensel, who's had a string of really solid games, and asked him what it's like to play with Kuch. And you know, you could tell he's definitely happy to be in Tampa. And he mentioned, you know, playing on lines with Crosby has helped him out and almost is the perfect preparation to playing with a guy like Kucherov. So you really couldn't pick up a better guy. And, you know, the stats prove that. You know, he's scored more goals and more points, I believe, than anyone else on a new team this season. So anyone that was doubting JB and the moves, and as sad as Thomas is that Stamkos is gone, you couldn't have made a better move.
No, not at all. And it was the problem you got now is, you know, guys just they don't play themselves out, but they basically contract themselves out because, you know, look at Stamkos. He played 13, 14, 15 years in Tampa. Now they're expecting him to take a pay cut because that's a hard sell when you come home and talk to the wife. Believe me. Wait a second. What have we done for 15 years? Same thing happened with you know, Vinny Lecavalier. You know, they got to a point where they tried to, you know, extend him, and the contract just didn't make sense, and that was a problem. But the bottom line is, guys, it all starts and stops with 88. You got that guy in goal, and he's starting to play really, really well. I mean, I don't think he's given up at home 2 goals, more than 2 goals in his last 7 or 8 home games. It's crazy.
Yeah, I think you might be right because it was JoJo that started the Saturday game against the Islanders and gave up those 3 late goals. And then before that, he blanked Utah, 1 goal against the Penguins. I think he shut out the Flyers at
And
home.
we do have to say that that game in Utah was Halveston too. It
Oh,
wasn't
true.
Yes,
JoJo.
correct.
It wasn't Vasi. That was Halveston who played in that Utah game. And you know, I saw all the things when I mean Sergey, welcome back, Sergey. It was a great little tribute to him. He took it in really well. He said that during the warm-ups that he tried not looking over at the other side and make eye contact with any of his old teammates. But there was all kinds of things going. Can we put Halvey in, please? Because they just were not getting to Vasi. Great performance by Vasi in that Utah game, and basically the last month he's been outstanding.
You know, I think, guys, he's finally getting over the back surgery. You know, it takes a while. And I said this in my column the other day. You don't have a shot at winning the Stanley Cup unless you got a goalie who can win 35 to 40 or more games. I mean, look at what's going on. You got Vasilevsky, you got, Bobrovsky. You got guys, uh, Netson up with the Rangers and everything. You got to have a guy who you can put back there that can win you 35 to 40 or more games during the year because you don't want to play him more than 60. And right now, uh, Halverson's got one, and Johansson's he's got 15. So there's 16 of the games Vasilevsky hasn't played. I think you may see two more out of JJ. That he'll get up to maybe 17, maybe a third, 18, depending upon where what the situation is. And I just think this is going to go down to the last game as to who wins the division, the Atlantic, because you you got three teams within 3 points right now with 8 games to go.
Yeah,
And you
and
got an important game
super
playing right now. You
Yep.
got Florida versus the Leafs right now, but they play each other twice head to head. Then we play both those teams still left this season. So this next couple games is going to decide who wins the Atlantic, and it is totally if Florida wins tonight, then they jump ahead of us, but technically they would still be 1 point that they can max out behind us. And Toronto will then go. I have it right here. Toronto would then drop to 108 points, which is also one under us. So them two would be tied. Oh no, Lightning's at 109. Toronto right now can max out at 110. They lose tonight, they'll go to 108. Florida right now is at 108. They can max out. So if Florida wins tonight in regulation, them and Toronto are tied for second place. The Lightning are in the driver's seat for it. If Toronto wins tonight, they stay in the driver's seat for the Atlantic, and they clinch a playoff spot tonight. All they need is 1 point to clinch the playoff spot.
Wow.
Yeah, and a lot of people are saying that the Lightning are in the driver's seat because we don't have as many games against playoff teams. So really, we've got lesser competition on the remainder of our schedule. Although it's
But the
not.
Lightning usually play down to that.
Yeah, I mean, you're not wrong. If you look ahead, you got the Senators tomorrow in Ottawa. You got the Buffalo Sabres. The Lightning have not been immune to losing to lowly Buffalo in the past. The Rangers twice, including the last game of the season, and then besides the Panthers and the Leafs, you've got the Red Wings and the Sabres again at home. Do you guys really think that this playoff positioning really matters, right? Because you're talking about the Bolts. I think most people would prefer to win the division. Do you think that really matters, though, to get that matchup, which today I believe is going to be the Senators? This could change, but as of right now, that's the Senators against that first seed in the Atlantic. And then obviously the 2 and 3 teams would play each other. So if the playoffs happened to right now, you'd be looking at Toronto playing Ottawa, and then be looking at Tampa playing Florida. I mean, I kind of feel like once you get to the playoffs, all bets are off. It's a different game, different teams show up. Do you guys really think this playoff seeding even really
This
matters at the end of it?
This season, yeah. This season, yes. Because of what the Lightning have done at home this season.
Yes.
The Lightning have been lights out at Amalie Arena. And you get that crowd in playoff mode again, like we have so many years. And after the last 2 years, them getting bounced off in the first year and not having home ice advantage, I think it is important to them this year because of the way they are playing at home. What say you, Leo?
Oh, absolutely. I think it's more important in the first round than it is past that because now you're going in. You got a lot of guys on your team who haven't been down that road yet. And, uh, I'm going to compare it to the women's Final Four. You got Connecticut and you got South Carolina. Ho hum, they're there again and again. You got Texas and UCLA, first time they've ever been to the Final Four. You got teams like Ottawa that haven't been in the playoffs. You got teams that haven't been there. And that becomes interesting because now you don't know what you're going to get. And you'd rather start with those first two at home in the first round. You know, it, it, uh, John Cooper, it was kind of funny. When they went to Toronto and they won game one, lost game two, he said, you know what? We got one. And that's what you're looking for. When you go on the road in the playoffs, you got to get one because if you hold serve at home, you know, if you're not the home team, you got to win one on the road. So that's what they're looking for. But again,
And Token Dave here in the comments question, home ice is great, but the real win would be watching the Leafs and Panthers battle each other in that first round, which is what would happen if we end up winning that.
mhm. Oh, absolutely. You want to see those? That'd be dog eat dog on that one.
Yeah.
There wouldn't be a winner. There'd be a survivor.
And like Serena said, Barkov is injured. He's not playing tonight. He got injured in the third period of last night's game. So Barkov's not playing for them tonight. And, since they've had Marchand join the team, I think they've only won one game since he's been playing for them now.
Well, they just took the lead over Toronto. They just scored a goal. I got it on right
And that
here.
actually, Florida is who my statistics, what I'm looking at point wise, and for the Lightning, I want Florida to win tonight. So
I think Florida's the team to beat. I think obviously they know how to win now, and if they can put everything together in the playoffs, I think they're the team to beat. I think the Maple Leafs lack the goaltending they need, and you haven't seen them be a true playoff team. And then, like Leo said, some of these other teams are kind of going to be wild cards. You don't figure out if you're a playoff team until you actually play playoff games. And that's what we're going to see with some of these teams like the Senators. And I think another interesting one to watch on the top of the East is Washington.
Oh God,
I
they're
think
loaded.
Washington's built for the
They are
playoffs.
loaded.
I think they're built for the playoffs, and I think they're ready to make a run, and make it to at least the Eastern Conference Final.
they've been showing that they've had some kryptonite lately. They've been not so great in their last 10. They've shown some weakness in that. Of course, they're trying to get it right now
They
to
clinched.
Ovi
They
as much as
clinched.
possible.
Yeah, they're trying to feed Ovechkin the puck. He's got what, 4 to
Right.
go. So the watch is on, and I hope he gets it this year and doesn't have to wait till next year. But
He will not do it in less games like Gretzky did. That's all I wanted. I wanted Gretzky to still do it in the least amount of games. He's guaranteed not. He's already passed the amount of games it's taken Gretzky to do it. So he can take it. My question for that: do you think goalies lay down for him on that last one or the last two? Do you think they give it to him, or do you think they're going to make him earn it?
Oh, I think they're going to make them earn it. I mean,
Yeah.
this isn't going to be Brett Favre falling down so Michael Strahan gets the record. That's not going to happen, especially if it's a Canadian goalie. Do you think? They, I hate to say this, guys, but you're talking about a Russian trying to pass a Canadian.
Yeah.
If it's a Russian goalie, maybe, but if it's a Canadian goalie, that ain't happening. He's not laying down.
that's a good point. If he's up against a Russian goalie, maybe the Russian goalie is a little slow with the reflexes for that last one. But I don't know.
Well,
I
they
mean, I
do.
play hockey, and hockey players are competitive. They don't want to lose. They don't want the record to be against them. So I would say that nobody's going to lay down. That's the first thing I thought of
What
too, Leo.
they do have some weeks. They have a week schedule coming up. I think 2 games against Columbus, 1 or 2 games against the Islanders,
Columbus is fighting for
uh,
life. Islanders are
which
fighting
is
for
funny.
life.
which is funny. Both have Russian goaltenders,
True.
so
He might break it fast. We'll see.
And you
Uh,
know what? Don't be surprised if he doesn't get a couple empty net goals. That's then there's no goalie. That would be a comedy, wouldn't it? He
I was
breaks
looking.
yeah.
Gretzky's record and it's an empty net.
Yeah, Leo, did you ever think that you'd see Gretzky's goal record be taken out like this?
Yeah, I thought maybe there was a chance of that because somebody could play that long. But they're never going to get the points he got in it. What he had? 210 points in one season? That's never going to get broken.
Oh yeah, and I've mentioned on this show before, if you know you're feeling down that Gretzky is going to lose this record, just go look at how many assists he's had in his career, because I don't think anyone's going to beat that. If anyone's got a chance, it's Nikita Kucherov, but
Yeah.
I still don't think anyone's going to beat that assist record. I'll look it up here.
Well, I
think
think
it's
it was Puckpedia who did one of those sites did a advancement, and at the current rate of any NHL player, nobody will pass Ovi unless they play into their 50s or 60s or something. Unless it's like a Yager and they keep like a 40 goal streak every single year going up to that. Nobody will have that chance.
Gretzky assists, by the way, 1,963 points, 2,857, 50 career hat tricks. Unbelievable.
Wow. Yeah. I'll tell you what, though. That's a pretty good line he was playing with, too.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's big. But you, you know what? Yeah, Messier on one side. You know, yeah. Then you got Yager on the other. I mean, that's pretty good. That's a pretty good line.
Yeah, he didn't have it too bad.
No. Plus, nobody went after Gretzky. I mean, I can't remember him ever getting checked. Is because you had the two muscle guys on his shoulder, and this you weren't going after him. It wasn't going to happen. Kind of reminds me of the Flyers when they had Bobby Clark. He didn't go after Clark a whole lot because you got Dave Schultz standing right there next to him.
Yeah, and what's wild is the NHL back then was very different from what a lot of the newer Bolts fans are used to seeing. Like it was a much more physical game, even just going back to the '90s. Completely different game. But yeah, unbelievable. I'm glad. I've never been a huge Ovechkin fan, but I'm glad someone's going to break that record. I honestly thought nobody would ever break it when I first heard. Oh, Gretzky's got 894 goals. Who in the world is going to even come close to that? But yeah, you're right. The longevity of Ovechkin has really been the trick to him doing that, and really he's only had a couple off years. He's been almost an Iron Man with staying on the ice. And last year, and I want to say one other year, he had some nagging injuries, but last year was a little bit off for him, and he came right back this year.
You know what, guys? The one record that Ovechkin holds right now is for the longest time of staying in bars in the D.C. area after they won the cup. That is legendary. It was almost like 5 straight days, they've said. The cup and Ovechkin and the rest of the team traveled throughout the D.C. area. I mean, these guys, I'll tell you what, if any of them would have died and you'd try to cremate them, that fire wouldn't have went out for a month. They were putting away some alcohol.
Well, they said the other players had to follow Ovi to get their day with the cup because he
Oh,
would not give
absolutely.
it up.
Yeah.
You had to pry it out of his hand. I mean, we saw the pictures of him sleeping with it on the plane. We saw the pictures of him swimming with it in the fountain. I mean, he did not let go of that cup, and so I totally get it because we saw what it was like with the Bolts and their time. But
You know what, guys?
yeah,
I got to
it's
tell
good.
you this story. When Tampa Bay won their first cup, back when Hobby Bullen was in net. And the changing point of that whole series is when LeCavier dropped the gloves with a Ginla. And people
Yep.
don't realize you drop the gloves with a Ginla, it was like dropping the gloves with Sonny Liston. This guy was a fighter that could also play. So yeah, but I was doing the game for Fox Sports Radio, and I was giving updates and everything. And they came to me at the end and they say, "Hey, what's it like?" I said, "There's 30 seconds left." And I'll tell you what, when they won, that arena shook. I've never, and believe me, if they'd have had to play a game 8, I don't think either team could have showed up. That's how tough that series was. Well, I'm thinking, what am I going to say? What am I going to say? And Hobby Bullen makes this great save and clears the puck, and they come to me at countdown. And when they finally get to zeros, horn goes off, and I go, "Move the Lombardi Trophy over. Lord Stanley's coming to Tampa." And they ran that for about 2 weeks. I don't know what possessed me to say that, but I think that was putting the nail in the coffin right there, because now a Florida team won the Stanley Cup. That's almost like a sacrilege, isn't it?
Yeah, it was unbelievable. I couldn't make it in the building, but I was outside, and yeah, it was an unbelievable experience. And that really did. I do feel like that really changed everything for this franchise, because you've just seen it grown since then, and even more with 2020 and 2021, and even making to the finals in the next year as well. Do
You know
you?
what, guys? I asked Coach Cooper after they won the first and they were in the process of getting ready to go to the Stanley Cup the second time. I said, "Coach, what would winning two in a row be?" He said, "Winning one is special. Winning two is phenomenal because it hadn't happened since the Penguins went back to back with Lemieux. So winning two Stanley Cups in a row is really maybe the toughest thing in the world, because when you talk about trying to win the Stanley Cup, it's not like anything else. Yeah, the Super Bowl, great. You can win 2 games, 3 games, whatever. You got to win 16 games. I don't care if you're first round, second round, semifinals. You got to win four. That's hard. That is really hard. It is not a sprint. It's a marathon. And the fact that they won two in a row is really phenomenal, especially during the COVID time. That was nuts.
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of people like to call it the COVID Cup, and really, the commissioner himself said it when he gave away that cup in 2020. This is the hardest cup that I've ever seen won. And you got to take into consideration these guys were in the bubble for a long time, away from family.
67 days.
Yeah.
67 days. That's phenomenal.
That's not easy to do. And for them to come back, especially for us fans, the next season and be able to do it, and us to be lucky enough for them to be able to clinch it on home ice, was unbelievable.
You know what, guys? I don't want to put out a conspiracy theory or anything, but Tampa Bay's playing Montreal. They're up 3-0, and a couple of their really good players missed some really easy shots at the end of the game. So it would go to game 5.
Real quick, Obi just scored. He's now 3 away from the title.
Uh-oh. Look out. And I don't want to say that they let one get away so they can win it at home, but here's your trivia question, guys. This could win your money at the bar. The Pittsburgh Penguins have 4 Stanley Cups. How many of them did they win at home?
All of them?
None.
Oh,
None.
none.
None. Zero. In fact, I think after they won either the third or the fourth, one or the other, they opened up the igloo so the fans could come in the next day so they could see it. No, they've never won a home Stanley Cup. That's amazing.
Yeah, that's kind of sad for the for those Penguins fans with that had such good teams during those years. So Leo, you've been covering the team for a long time. You've seen this team win Stanley Cups. You've seen this team be really bad at hockey. Is this year's team a true Stanley Cup contender?
Absolutely. Yes. Yeah. In fact, it's kind of funny you should ask that. I would love to ask Coach Cooper. You won two Stanley Cups in a row, but it was after you set the record for wins and got eliminated in the first round 4-zip by Columbus. Do you win those two if you can't keep walking into your room and saying, hey guys, remember what happened with Columbus? Because that was still fresh in their mind. I tell you what, the only team that scares me is Florida because they've got a goalie that's been there with Bobrovsky. And, Washington is still a question mark in goal. Everybody else is a question mark in goal. So, it's just a matter of how this is going to play out. And again, you got to have a hot goaltender. And Tampa Bay right now has that hot goaltender. And again, you're just seeing the Vasilevsky that we saw during those two Stanley Cup runs. You don't get to him early in the first 10 minutes, it's going to be hard to get to him because he just rolls into it and guys are blocking shots in front of him. They're not getting a whole lot of shots on net. If you don't put it on net, you can't score. Plus,
But
that offense, they're putting up big numbers. It's crazy. What in the last four games they scored in the first 3 or 4 minutes or less? That's nuts.
Yeah, and I didn't realize that the Lightning have scored. I want to say it's the first goal in 43 of their games.
Yeah, that's pretty close.
I did not realize that until they were talking about that with the Islanders game last night because the Islanders are the opposite. The Islanders can't score first, which has caused all kinds of problems for that. Yeah, I see the comment there. I did hear it in my right ear. Toronto did tie it up 1-1. It's funny we're watching the scoreboard for this game. I just really don't think it matters that much. But I guess the Lightning can sneak themselves into first place. I guess tomorrow if Toronto loses, right?
Yeah.
But still 8 games to go. Any big surprises for you, Leo, this season? I really didn't know what we were looking at going to this season with the team. What was your biggest surprise so far this season?
Sorelli and Paul having career years. I mean, Anthony Sorelli, pretty much the whole season, has been the best guy in the ice, for both ends of the ice. He's having a phenomenal season. And the fact that Nick Paul has, here's a guy, third, fourth line. He's got 22 goals. That's darn good. And I was happy to see them bring Yanni Gord back. He is just a spark plug. And so I'm surprised at the moves they made to get back to where they were. And that was nice because they knew what they were getting when they got back Gord. They were kind of guessing with Oliver Bjornstad, but they're very happy with that. And they're kind of guessing with Gensel. I don't think they thought Gensel would be this good. They knew he was good, but they didn't think he'd be this good. And plus, you know what, guys? This amazes me about hockey. Yeah, Kucherov had 100 assists, but he's not a center. He's a right wing. There's only one way he can pass left. You know where he's going, and you still can't stop it. I mean, he just. I like to call him the Magic Johnson of hockey because, yeah, he's going to sit there and he's going to make 10 plays. Three of them, they're not going to look good. Five of them, they're going to be okay. But two of them, there's going to be a really good shot on goal by somebody. And he has this inane knack of, as the puck's heading toward him, he looks up and surveys the ice. If you're ever watching, watch as the puck's coming to Kucherov. He doesn't look down for the puck. He's looking up, and he can time it that he's ready with it, and that puck goes in a hurry someplace else. So, yeah, the year Paul's having, the year that Sorelli's having, and it's nice to see 88 back in full health.
And congratulations to Nick Paul, who just had a baby girl. He scores a goal the day after the baby was born. I think the other one was it
Luke,
Glenn Denning
Luke
that also
Glendening,
had a baby.
yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, I agree with you, Leo, because we heard pre-trade deadline. We heard in the offseason. We heard last year pre-trade deadline. Sorelli's name was on the block. It was Sorelli, Sorelli, Sorelli. They were shopping Sorelli around. He just hasn't been the Sorelli he that they thought he was going to be. And then I don't know who mentioned this, but then came Brendan Hagel, who all of a sudden became best friends. They live together, they're roommates, they become like brothers. And then on the ice, they become like magicians this year. And they are a 1-2 combination that the Lightning have needed since the triplet days. They always seem to know where each other is, kind of like Johnson, the Palat, the Kucherov. The three of them used to always know where the other was. You now see that in the Brandon Hagel and the Sorelli. And then whoever that third person is on that doesn't seem to skip a beat either, whether it's Gage, whether it's Bjorkstam, whether it's Yanni, no matter who they put third with them, always seems to also fit in and just feed right off of those two.
You know what, guys? The biggest fear everybody has is 77's getting a little long in the tooth. That, and again, when they lost to Columbus those 4 games, the reason they lost is Hedman was hurt, and he was hurt bad. Because when you were watching game 1 and 2, the winning goals the Lightning were up 3-0 in game 1. And all of a sudden, Columbus comes back, and two of their goals, the forward comes down and crosses right in front of Hedman's face, and he can't do anything about it. In fact, he doesn't play game 3 or 4. That's how hurt he was. I'm hoping this doesn't come down to an injury. And again, getting McDonough back, and you got Hedman there, and look at last year. Why did the Lightning get eliminated? Eric Cernak got hurt, couldn't play. That's huge. If that defensive core can stay together and stay healthy, I think they make a deep run. But they got to stay healthy. That's the big thing.
Don't you feel like that the team has way, not, I was going to say way more, but they've got more depth than they've had the last 2 years, right? So, losing a Headman, losing a superstar player is one thing, but if a defender goes down, I feel way more comfortable than I did the last couple of years. Same thing with a forward going down, right? Obviously, you don't want to lose Cooch or Point or a top player, but I feel way more comfortable than I have the last 2 or 3 years with some of the guys that we can go and plug in. Geeky didn't do a whole lot. He made an impression in the NHL, but it looks like he's putting on a show in Syracuse lately. And not to mention some of the other guys that we have down there. Sherry's really cleaning up in the AHL as he should.
Yeah.
If we could get him to do anything up here, that'd be nice. But I feel way more comfortable than I have the last several years.
Oh yeah. Well, the biggest problem is you how how are you going to get these guys some ice time? If somebody doesn't get hurt, and what the Lightning do the best is they'll bring a guy up for 2 or 3 or 4 games during the regular season in case they got to bring them up during the playoffs. And it won't be their first trip up, which is huge. So when you look at what's happening with the Lightning, you know, Cooper and his staff, and the organization, they know what they're doing, and they got a plan and they stick with it. You know, we sit there and Cooper talks about the process. Trust the process, follow the process, and that's good. He said, process over outcome, because eventually process is going to give you the outcome, and that's huge. So, guys, I hate to jump off, but I got to get on with Peter. You know what the good news is? I'm going to catch you guys at 9:30.
We're going on the sports web at 9:30. So we will see you over there. We're gonna bring everyone that's watching with us over there in about half an hour.
I'll be there waiting on you guys.
One
Hey,
last
thanks
question
for
though.
having me on, and let's do it again.
One last question though.
Sure.
Isaac Howard, do they figure out a way to get him signed this year and playing for the Bolts?
That's the $64 million question, isn't it?
Yeah.
They're trading away a lot of their draft picks to kind of, and again, they think that window's going to close quickly. So that would be something that they could do. It'd be something that would help, but I don't think right now it's a priority because of how they're playing. If this team was middle of the pack, it'd be a whole lot different. But yeah, I don't think they're going to ignore it, but I think they're more interested in what's going on right now.
Gotcha. All right. Well, hey, Leo, we will see you on the other channel on the sports web. You're going there now. We'll be on there at 8:30. I always go on there and comment. You don't talk enough hockey on this show. And Peter says, well, come talk about hockey. So we're going to talk about hockey. So
Yeah.
we'll see you.
We're going to do a little women's basketball from 9 to 9:30. And then, hey, we're back on the ice with you guys.
That's right. Women's
thanks for having me on, fellas.
All right, Leo. Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate you.
Take care, guys.
Take care. All right, Mr. Schooley. Yes, we will be on the sports web in approximately 30 minutes. So we'll wrap it up here pretty soon. And I'm gonna pull a link for the sports web so you guys can go join over there and watch us talk to Peter about hockey, because Peter talks about mostly the Bucks. I don't know what he's talking about right now about the Bucks. There's not much going on.
Well, they did restructure who was it, Evans' contract today. So he gets paid more up front now than later on. I know that was something that they did today.
Okay. Well, there you go. There's always Bucks news, I guess. So I'm grabbing the link here so I can put it in the chat. Don't go there yet, unless you want to talk about the Bucks. We still got Lightning stuff to talk about here. So there you go, Peter Blake's Sports Web. Put the Facebook link on there because that's just the fastest one I can find. Yeah, Leo, we didn't even give Leo a chance to talk about how to follow him and all that stuff. But Leo's been covering Tampa Bay sports for a long-ass time. I wanted to ask him how long, but that's all right. We'll catch him next time. And again, we did meet him because he was the unfortunate soul that got to sit next to us.
Next to you.
Yeah.
Next to you.
In the press box. And of course, you know how nice I am. I struck up a conversation right away. 1-1 in Toronto right now, approaching the end of the second period. So we'll keep an eye on that. What else did I have? I made like a list earlier today about all the stuff that's happened in the last week, and it was an unbelievable list of things. Cooch takes the lead in the NHL points race last night. 2,000 block shots for Ryan McDonough, 8th in NHL history. We saw him play.
He did his 1,000th game.
his 1000th game. We saw the game against Utah. We saw the celebration against the Islanders. We saw the Lightning get animated on Saturday with Nintendo Wii characters or Me characters or whatever those are called. By the way, if you were inside the arena, you only saw that on the Jumbotron twice. It was a big secret in the arena, but it was Kids Day. I saw a lot of kids having fun as we were beating the Islanders. Hagel hit 30 goals. Cooch hit 30 goals. Bjorkstrand hit 20 goals. Nick Paul, Luke Glendening had babies. Gensel hit 300 career assists. I think this was last week. We just didn't mention it. 500 games for Sorelli, 100 points. I think Cooch hit that last Tuesday. And then Maroon announced his retirement last Wednesday. We didn't mention that because we were talking with Miss Paris, the jersey collector. But this is the Maroon final last 8 games for him up in Chicago. And the Bolts have won 4 straight. Second place in the Atlantic, soon to be first place.
And we didn't get a chance to thank Tampa Joe's for hosting the watch party and for everybody that came out there to the unofficial watch party that we had. It was a lot of fun. Tate from Sticks of Fire joined us in the first period.
Who else joined?
Then Stash joined us in the third period, rotating me and Ewan on that third period.
We just left our own show.
Huh? Yeah.
We just left our own show.
So
thank
you to those that did come out. Thank you to those that have listened to it, that have watched it. It was a lot of fun. So they had outside seating if you wanted to bring your dog. Crystal and her husband brought their dog. They had seating inside. There just wasn't enough tables near us because they had us in this back little corner. But it ended up working out great. Jesper from Denmark was there. They ended up winning something. Then we had the block party with Eric Chernak that was released today. It's pretty funny. Go ahead and watch it. Jesper ended up winning something at the block party, a cooler from Highlight. So while they were here, they had some good little times there. MVP, yeah. Who gets the MVP? Does Cooch get it? I saw Jay talked about it on his podcast today. Do you think Jay gets that? Do you think Cooch gets the MVP?
I think he's definitely got to finish ahead of McKinnon, and I would hope it's his turn to win MVP. Mm-hmm. I mean, I thought he should have hands down won it last season. He technically was better last season with stats and how much he carried the team offensively. This year, obviously, we talked about Bolts, 7 Bolts with 20 plus goals. And they might finish with three or four with 40 goals. They could. Yeah. So that's going to go against him because McKinnon doesn't have as much help as many of the moves that he's made. So we'll see. I still think that he's got a uphill battle to win that MVP for whatever reason. Maybe just because he's Russian.
Because he's Russian, because he doesn't play the NHL game. He does his own thing, and Cooch has always been like that.
He doesn't drink Kool-Aid.
No, he doesn't. He doesn't
Fuck
drink
Kool-Aid. I'm with you, Cooch. Fuck the Kool-Aid. I'm Kool-Aid. I'm not drinking.
And it does look like Syracuse Crunch is not going to make it into the playoffs this season. They are long shot looking out with, I think, 8 games to go after tonight, and they're losing right now 4-2. So it doesn't look like they will make the playoffs this season. So we will see those Black Aces early in the playoffs and see what 6 they bring up for that.
Yep. I think we pretty much know who it's going to be. It's the guys that have been up here this season. Geeky.
Yeah.
Who else was up here? Duke, Dylan. You're going to bring back Sheary. Who else do we got down there? Atkinson. I think
And
that's
I do not want an injury. Let me say it. I do not want an injury. But if it just so happened to be one of our fourth line guys that has a little extra money that is out for the next 8 games, that gives us enough money to bring up Isaac Howard.
yeah. So I
So,
wanted to see what Leo said about that, but that is kind of the rumor is the Lightning just can't afford to sign Isaac Howard right now and bring him up
right.
because they'd have no cap space. But if somebody gets injured, then LTIR is the thing. Other
For eight
teams,
games.
and then once you get to the playoffs, it doesn't matter. So I don't know. I would not be surprised if anyone takes a big hit or an ugly fall in the next couple games that they might be sitting out the rest of the season to recover from that horrible injury uh,
Yeah.
they've received because you can't just add Isaac Howard going into the playoffs. He's got to come play some of these games beforehand and see exactly how he's going to fit in. But I
And
think
he's getting ready. They're getting close to that time frame where he's going to have too much time off now that his season's over with. That they're going to want to keep him in game shape. So if it's not within this next week, I don't see them signing him this season.
yeah, which sucks because I've read that he wants to
Yep.
because it takes off a year of eligibility to so he gets to that bigger next contract faster. And obviously the team probably wants to as well, just to see what they got. And you're starting to see this week other college players as their teams have gotten knocked out are getting signed. New York brought somebody up today. I want to say the Capitals brought that guy last night up and yeah, signed them to their entry level contracts.
And he scored in the game, and he was in a bar behind Ovi. Like it's been amazing for these guys, and his whole college team came in, visited his first game. They wouldn't bring. I see Serena says Tompkins. They wouldn't bring a third goalie up usually for as a black ace.
Crozier, though. I was thinking of what other defensemen. Yeah, Crozier. I think you got to bring up another D man just in case. So, yeah, we're almost there. 8 more games. We've got. Where's my schedule? Dang, I lost my schedule. Let me go back to my real schedule here from game 2 or 1 or whenever. The magnet schedule because this thing's going to have to get retired soon. We've got Ottawa Senators tomorrow night. We've got Buffalo Saturday night. We've got the Rangers Tuesday night, all the way. We struggle on the road and then come back home to Toronto next Wednesday night. By the way, the plan is, as of right now, to do a post-game show on next Wednesday night, and that is going to depend if we sneak ourselves into that game or not. Friday night, we got the Wings, and then 3 games left the third week of April. That is Buffalo at home, Florida at home for the last home game, and then one more game up in New York City at Madison Square Garden against the Rangers, and that's it. And what is the magic number? We should be making the playoffs here by weekend time, right?
2.
So
Thursday, if we win, we're in. If we lose and Columbus or Montreal lose, we're in. So I want to win and get in. But yeah, I want us to win it in and just keep the wins going. But we have 3 different ways of clinching on Thursday.
yeah, so it's going to happen pretty soon. All right, one more topic that we have to discuss, and this is a big one. We talked about it a lot last week. No more living on a prayer. To my surprise, I'm at the game on Saturday. Cooch scores a goal in the first 2 minutes, and all of a sudden it is some song I've never even heard before. It is not.
Yeah, but I think that was because it was Kids Day.
So that's why they changed the goal song for Kids Day.
They changed everything for Kids Day.
Even the
So
goal
I think,
song.
listen, all the songs were all kid songs.
So you're saying that "Living on a Prayer" might be back next
Yeah,
Wednesday night?
yeah. I don't think our prayers have been answered. I think they come back.
I don't know, but I was shocked to hear somebody said it was "Crab Walk" was the song they were playing for the 4 goals on. I guess they had 5 on Saturday. All right. Well, we'll see what happens with the goal song.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting.
Hopefully, they'll figure it out by playoffs. I see the people love it. Stephanie.
It's trash.
Which one? All of them?
I was gonna say, yeah.
Where whatever Stephanie wants. And
you know what?
Song.
What's interesting to me is I've seen discussing things a lot lately on Twitter or X, but nothing about his song not being used anymore. And I'm sure he knows because I'm sure like 30 Lightning fans have messaged him and said, "Why isn't your song there anymore?" So it's interesting to see.
Oh, he's not going to bring it up. He doesn't want to get the Lightning lawyers calling him. Gord, did you see the fight yesterday with Gord and Sazika?
Yes.
Towards the end of the game, kind of saying, "Hey, you're a bitch. We should fight." Little chit conversation at the face-off circle beforehand.
Oh, there's a hot topic that you tweeted out there that Serena just brought up.
Oh yeah, so that Islanders game up 4-0, and then I'm like thinking, all right, let the kids have fun. I see them starting to set up the wave, and they get the wave going, and then Hagel gets in a dust up with somebody. The Bolts go shorthanded, and the Islanders score a power play goal, and then they score 2 goals right after that, and all of a sudden it's 4-3, and a lot of people were blaming the wave. So I don't know if you want to give your stance on the wave. Do we have to shut that down when it happens at the arena? It doesn't seem like it's very good luck based on this last wave performance, because they had it going. They had it going 5 or 6 times around, and everyone but myself was doing the wave.
Yeah, no, it doesn't belong at the Lightning game.
Where does it belong then?
Baseball.
Legends Field, folks. Go see your Tampa Bay Rays.
Steinbrenner. That's so you can air your arms out in this Florida heat.
Yes. Don't forget deodorant. Just do the wave.
Yeah. So yeah, we talk about this all the time at the Lightning. Whether it belongs there or not, it doesn't belong in hockey. But then again, Tampa is not traditional. We don't get mad. We don't get angry. We have the nicest fans.
Well, we talked about it last week. We don't have our own thing, though. I mean, I guess we have testicles.
Pretty sure Thunderbug started it.
I don't know about
Let's get him out of there. Let's get him out.
I don't know if I saw. By the way, Jeannie has been in town, and since she's been in town, the Lightning averaged like 15 goals a game. So she could stay around. Saw her at the last game. Actually, the last 2 games. It was fun. I had fun with the last 2 games. I hadn't been in a while. So now I'm ready to go to the rest of them. If you want to go to a game, we mentioned there's 4 left. Use our code SeatGeekWTT Pod. That is the only thing you can do to help support this podcast. And trust me, we need as much support as we can get. So please use our code if you plan on going to any games. I'm sure that's still eligible for playoff games too, once playoff tickets go on sale, which I believe is probably going to be pretty soon.
Also, if you're watching on YouTube, subscribe to the page. If you listen to this on Spotify, do a little thumbs up. Um,
Something. Just do something,
yeah.
please. We got
So we know you guys
in
are
so much
listening.
trouble for all the songs we were playing last week. Like every week we get this report of here's what you did wrong. And a lot of times it's the BS that I've talked about, like, oh, we can't play Thunder and Lightning sounds that I've recorded with my own phone. That's copywritten. That's odd. But we played all these goal songs because we had that goal song list that people made on X. So I had the longest list of song violations. It was great.
My favorite thing is when they send us that thing notification that something you're monetizing on is other, and I'm like, we don't monetize on anything. Like, uh, unless shooters holding out this huge paycheck that they get from Facebook, then we're not monetizing on shit.
I think the only way you get money on Facebook is Facebook stars, which I don't even know if that's still a thing.
Yeah, I don't know. I see it still on the chats and stuff, but uh, it's weird. Uh,
All right. Well, hey, we are going to be on the sports web in 10 minutes. So go find that link. Let me see if it's still on my clipboard here. Put it on the chat there so you guys can all catch it. Go and let Peter know that we sent you there when we jump on, because I want Peter to be like, oh, this isn't some sort of Humpty Dump Circus Soleil show that Thomas Schooley runs over there. I want
hey, listen, when I first started this, I should say, Peter used to come on quite a bit, and we talked to him a bit, and then he became this Rolex reporter and became this huge, too big of a britches for us little guys over here anymore. So now we have to go join him to say hi to him again.
I did try to get him to go to the watch party. He said he was sick, so I don't know if the link's working now. It's the first one I posted had a robot face in it somehow.
I saw that. I couldn't figure that out. I was
Ended up
wondering
with
why.
a kind of concerned robot emoji. that robot definitely has been in the AI world for too long. So hopefully just the www work, because I think it was something with the HTTP :/ dot pw. Anyhow,
Real quick, let me say something I'm personally doing on my page, and I usually don't um, do my own stuff or ask for money. If you guys are my Facebook friend or not my Facebook friend, starting just a couple days ago until December 1st, when I have to stop, when I have to completely turn in all the money, I'm collecting money for Reese Across America, which put Reese on. Graves at all the national cemeteries across the U.S. This is specifically for the one in St. Pete, Bay Pines National Cemetery. I, along with some of the Six of Fire people, my sisters, went last year. I have done 4 of the last 5 years. And sadly, if you do not specify a specific cemetery, they all go to Arlington. Until Arlington is completely filled. So this past year, they had 35,000 graves and only 5,000 wreaths. So 30,000 graves went without a wreath, which I know it's, they're past and everything else. But if you've ever went to one of these national cemeteries, it's really an eye opener. And I invite anybody on December 15th to join me at noon, 11 o'clock at Bay Pines to lay these wreaths down also. They're $17 for a wreath. I am taking donations on my personal Facebook page. I'm hoping, I see Stephanie's in here and Serena's in here. I'm hoping that our off-season picnic that we always do, I'm hoping the money for that also goes to this. We have raised enough now for 55 wreaths for the National Cemetery, only for Bay Pines.
how do you do it though? Do you have a link?
I do. I have a link, but here's the thing: is that I know everybody can't donate $17. So if they send it to like, there's a couple of people that sent me $5. Someone sent me $10. Every one that I buy for $17, they donate $5 back to the next one. So the next one's $12. But you have to pay 17 at a time, and then they do it. So I put all the money together and then buy one group of Reese, and then the, there is a Thunderbolts page that I'll share out that I've been asking if anybody has a corporation that is in the military and wants to donate, that they can do that. And so I post the results every single day, every morning. I've been getting up and paying for the wreaths that I've collected money for. Today I didn't. I figured I'd give everybody a couple days off, and then I'll start grinding again. You're going to see me posting this a lot if you're my friend on Facebook until December 1st, just so we can get as many there. You see, my father's at VA. My mom and my stepdad is buried at Bay Pines. So that is why I've done that for the last 4 out of the 5 years. So that is my goal this year, is to try to raise as much as I can.
The goal for Bay Pines is 34,000. So far, there's only 441.
There you go. And we have bought from my page 55, I think, as of this morning, of those.
All right, yeah, we'll share that. All right, cool. We got to get out of here and go join Peter Blake. So hopefully you guys will go join that. If you do, put a comment in the chat, and we'll make sure he shows your comment or something. I don't know.
Just say Schooley looks sexy.
Yeah, do that. But we have way more fun on other people's shows compared to our own show, so you should come.
Yes. Ain't that the truth?
Right. You got anything else?
No, let's get out.
All right, this has been We the Thunder. Don't forget to be the Thunder.
That's it?